Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Awake and Bold interview series. Awake and Bold is an organization that focuses on child safety and child trafficking awareness and prevention. My name is Simone Anderson, and I'll be your host. Over the next few months, we will have a series of interviews with people active in the space, including former police officers, concerned citizens, other charities involved in this effort, and child abuse and traffic victims themselves. Today, we have a special guest, activist Bryan Prather. He's starting a new position as director of Oppress No More, and they are an anti human trafficking group based near Atlanta, Georgia. He has a strategic partnership with Recovery of Children, Veterans for Child Rescue, and Judges Rescue. He's worked in human trafficking field as a volunteer for 5 years, and most recently was hired as director of the Oppress No More operation. He has a background in serving homeless veterans and underserved communities. Welcome, Bryan.
Thank you, Simone. It's great to be here. Good to see you.
Thank you, Bryan. It was amazing to meet you at an event we did last month in North Carolina in Hendersonville, and we hope to get some clips of that event up on our website soon. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into maybe your life history and how you became involved in this effort?
Okay. Um, so I'm in Western North Carolina at the moment. I'll be making a move towards Atlanta very soon to start work with Oppress No More as a director there. It's actually a new nonprofit startup. We've known each other for many, many years and have worked together in different types of ministry and outreach together. And they have always had a heart for this. And the wife of Scott, who is the founder of SNS Ministries that they have, his wife has an amazing survivor story to tell and share. And so those are so important because uh, a survivor can speak from an angle that no one else can. And they can speak to that person who is a survivor as well in a way that I cannot. I mean, I can speak to them. I can listen. I can offer resources, uh, but I do not uh, possess the expertise to relate to them on a level that another survivor can. So that's what's really exciting uh, about that as well. So I'll be making that move. I got into this first of all. Really, I've always had an empathetic heart uh, for others in need, underserved, as they'll call it now. But uh, uh, that's just always been a part of me in some way or another. It took me a long time to understand it and why and how to deal with that too, because I've had to learn too over the years that empathy can be a curse and a blessing. So I've had to learn where to draw the lines at and have boundaries with that before. So that's been a big learning experience probably over the past 10 years. And my first exposure to trafficking was when I really didn't know what it was. But looking back, I can see that I was around it, a lot. Um, a lifestyle that I had lived for a number of years when I'm a Navy veteran, so I'd gotten out of the Navy uh, active duty in 1983 and reserve time 85. So there was a total of 6 years there. Um, but uh, I just did not do well transitioning back into civilian life. And drugs were my outlet. Uh, Cocaine was my drug of choice at that time for about 6 years. And I was in that lifestyle, and it was not a good lifestyle to be involved in. And so looking back, I can now it makes sense to when motorhomes would pull up at parties and lots of people, lots of girls, uh, all the time, big boats, lots of money. That was in the 80s, it was called the rich man's high then. And so the first time I went to a class to learn more, a certification course to learn more about this. It blew me away and it was very, very sad. It was kind of hard to look at that and go, wow, I was right in the middle of this, and I had no clue, then. So I would have to say that was my first exposure to that. What got me started was I was looking for something to do on the weekends with my time to volunteer, to do something. And so I was just doing a list of, okay, what kind of things really moved my heart. I wanted to pick two and choose between one of those, you know. And so, I did that, and I chose to see if I could get involved in doing some volunteer work with an anti-trafficking organization. I came across Veterans for Child Rescue on YouTube, and I went through their vetting process to volunteer and all of that. And I was going to pass out brochures at community events, local things that were going on, just something simple that I could do on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever. And so just started sharing their information, forwarding it online through social media, just create awareness, for contacts that I had, and see where this was going to go. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing at all. And so Craig Sawyer, who's the founder of Vets for Child Rescue, did an interview with Basil Boz, who's the founder of Association for the Recovery of Children, and these are both founded by veterans that have lots of significant time downrange with three-letter agencies, of course, of our government, too. And Craig being a Navy SEAL veteran, Team 6 and Dev Crew, and Boz, counterterrorism expert with the Marine Corps, and officer as well, then with CIA, and founded Association for the Recovery of Children out of an experience that happened during Black Hawk Down operation when they were there as operatives to assist in that. And so they've been at this, a long time, probably Boz and Association for the Recovery of Children longer than any NGO that's out there right now, because they've been at it since 1993 on a boots on the ground basis, and they still continue to do great work. They all do. So he was doing an interview, and Boz was talking about a certification course he put together to learn how to run your own operations, investigations, everything you need to know if you want to go to a deeper level and get directly involved as boots on the ground. So I went and took that course. Once again, thinking that, man, you have no clue what you're doing. Why am I even going to this? Not knowing how anything was going to turn out. And it was a great experience going to that course. I've been to a few of those now with them, because it's just evolving, and there's always something to learn, and the expertise that it gives you access to, the network of people and other organizations out there, has been incredible. And without that, there's no success possible, I don't think, without having strategic partnerships and team members. You can't do this on your own, and go rogue. That'll get you in trouble, and you're not going to just not going to be effective at it. And it can never be about. It's always got to be about survivors and victims. And that's it. That's the bottom line. Whether we earn a penny doing this or not, it doesn't matter. Being able to do this, yeah, and to be on with an organization that is paying me to do this full time is a huge blessing. And but I would find a way to do it anyway, no matter what. And so that's the calling, and that's when that it is. And so my one of the greatest awakenings to this, I would say, happened in the late, probably like 1996, 97. I worked with a lot of at-risk youth through different types of ministries and camps and itinerant speaking to student retreats and such. I adopted a boy when he was 14 who had been groomed and grossly abused in many ways. He was 14 at the time, and he's 43 now. We still have a great relationship, and So I was a youth pastor at that time, and had also uh, reached a couple of mainstream gang kids during that time too. That's the kind of ministry we did. You know, we went beyond the church walls to reach those that would not come to us, but we would go to them. And so there were a lot of stories just on that alone. But anyway, one of the guys started recruiting kids to the mainstream gang in that area that were in this ministry. These were younger kids, and he was doing that by purchasing items for them, um, getting other gang members to get shoes, clothes for girls, that sort of thing. So he was grooming these kids right under my nose, and got a tip that well, one of the girls had run away from home, and we nobody knew where she was at the moment for a few days, 3 or 4 days, I think it was, and uh, so someone called me and tipped me off where she was at, and she was with the guy that was one of the gang leaders, and told me they were going to be taking her to Atlanta, and so we know why he was taking her to Atlanta. I didn't know right at the time because I just wasn't. Um, I didn't know a lot about human trafficking. You know, even though I'd been around it, seen it, I still didn't know anything about it really. And so put two and two together. I called the family member of the young lady. She was 13 or 14 at the time, and he was 18. He had just turned 18, and he gave me a tip on the last stop they were going to make before they left for Atlanta from Raleigh area, North Carolina. And I made it there to that last stop, and sure enough, we pulled in about the same time together. I'd called police as well; they hadn't gotten there yet, and jumped out the car. He was actually going to try to run over me. He was in a little Dodson station wagon with her in it. But the police pulled up about that time too, and he put it in reverse to get out of the way. But he put it in reverse and nailed it. He's headed to the dead end of a one-way street and doesn't know it till he gets there, and a couple hundred yards away. And so he was surrounded by then, and she jumps out of the car and runs to me. I had a good relationship, trusting relationship with her, and you know, as a mentor, and so you know, just held her. She looked awful. She was had been abused, beaten, bruised up, just looked terrible. And this is a beautiful young lady, you know, and we ended up getting her into safe housing where she got healing, counseling therapy for at least a year, maybe been a little longer than that. And it was a home for youth girls that was in eastern part of North Carolina. And so that worked out great for her. She's in her 40s now, and with a few children, and married, and doing well. And that guy actually ended up putting a hit out on me, which I didn't know anything about these gang hits and everything, but I was told by his brother that I needed to take that seriously, you know, and so I did, but I didn't hear anything from him or anybody else about that situation. Um, and he and a car pulls up in my driveway one day while I was cleaning my cleaning my vehicle, and it was him. And he gets out, and I thought, oh well, I don't know what this is all about. But then three young ladies get out of the car too, and I knew them, and I knew that if he was with them, then everything must be okay because they are influencers, you know, for the better, for good. These are good girls that like this is okay, and it was. So he told me I'm not here to cause any trouble. He's a big boy, and he would be hard to handle, you know, if he was in a rage about something. But he said, I want to tell you that I love you and that thank you for saving my life. That's what he said to me,
Oh.
you
And
know,
now this
and
was the head of the guy that was kidnapping the girl to take her to Atlanta.
yeah, he was the one that was going to take her. Yeah. He was called a set king in that gang. And so they would call the shots on a lot of things. They could get the new guys to do whatever they wanted for them to. Yes, I didn't know anything about gangs really. Then that's how I learned some things about gangs was through him and his brother. Um, and so he ends up moving to Georgia and getting married some years later. And I hear from him. It had been years, and through social media, and he was telling me about his son and his wife, a great marriage, and he's doing well, good job. Everything was going great. It seemed he actually wanted me to come visit him and go to church with him and his family, and
Wow.
so, boy, what an amazing full circle story, to experience, and I was planning to do that, uh, and I don't know what happened. His son actually ended up being a really kind of a well-known high school football player in that area of Georgia. And next thing I know, I get a message, and evidently he had slipped. He had an addiction issue years before, and he, for whatever reason, decided to try it again and overdosed on heroin and didn't make it. So I don't know what that situation is now, but that was the most direct exposure I had, and I knew that at some point, someday, I want to dive into this on a greater level. But I still didn't know how to, and but watching that video that day, YouTube with Craig Sawyer interviewing Bozo Boz just kind of changed everything as far as direction goes. Even when I got done with that course, certification course, and all of that, I still don't know any more than what I'm doing now than I knew before I came to this course or watched that video. I still don't have a clue what I'm doing. And my prayer to God was, please don't let me look too stupid, you know, around all these people, because I was surrounded at that particular course. It was just, there's a lot of veterans involved in this work, but you don't have to be a veteran to be involved in it. You don't have to be a veteran to have impact. You don't have to be maybe male or female. There's women doing some great work and doing this kind of work as well. Boz's wife, Tina, uh, I believe him. There's nobody better at this, than she is. And so, what an honor it is to have been surrounded by those people. But wow, how intimidating that was, because I was in a room full of people where it would have been a bad idea for somebody to walk in there and cause any kind of trouble that week.
Well, we
Because
were inadvertently connected through an event that Boz was the keynote speaker at. That's where I met Hera
oh,
and Tika, who
yeah,
now
yeah,
I'm with Wake and Bold, like you. We both done some volunteer work for that organization.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
inadvertently, Boz brought us all together at a
yeah,
later point too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That is so key. The people that you network with happens. I had been involved in a rescue recently uh, where I was not boots on the ground, and I didn't know anybody that was in that particular corner of the United States, and I'm talking almost a corner, and out west. Uh, so I knew that I could probably find somebody. This contact actually came at an event that we were at in Hendersonville.
Yes.
Somebody called me um, because somebody had called her and said, "Hey, I don't know if you can do anything about this or not." And I didn't know either. I wasn't in the area, but I know that if uh, there's a good chance, I know somebody that will know who can who can be boots on the ground there. Good chance of that. Uh, so what happened was actually a concerned family friend in that was going to be in that area decided, you know what, I'm going to take some time and see if I can intervene for her, and he did. He's not somebody that's been trained in doing any of this. He just knew uh, that there's possibly an opportunity to get her free, and he was going to try it. So this guy communicated with me the entire time, and she was being trafficked through a brothel actually, and so uh, uh, the what you're going to call them, customers, pervs, whatever you want to call them, predators. That's what they are.
Criminals.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was going to pay to rape her, so that's what it is. It's paid rape. And so he drugged her, beat her, abused her severely. And so um, he was able to get her out of there. The opportunity presented itself, and they got out. So I made contact with Judges Rescue actually because they have a pretty wide network, and if they can, they'll go in. They'll go anywhere. They've got a team that can do that as well, and other orgs do too. And so uh, they got involved in the situation to do what they can. So our goal is to get her to long-term safe housing and a place of healing to help her to get better and to stay safe. So they made sure she made the trip across the country. Uh, she had her own vehicle, and so with some stops, along the way. But they made sure that she was able to make that trek uh, safely. We would learn later that she was also pregnant by this rape that had happened, and most recently, and she was pregnant with twins. Of all things, but she miscarried them about a week ago, and she is in a safe place now. Um, a very, she's with a great family right now, and she's able to get therapy, counseling. She's also autistic. That presented some complications. Adult, very high functional, but still presented some unique challenges as well. But right now, she is doing great. And I never had to leave my house
Wow.
to do it. Uh, and it's just the people that will get involved in the connections that you make. That's why it's so important to network and not to be uh, don't try to be a rogue warrior, and do things on your own. Um,
Do you think you could kind of give us, for people who may not be aware of the epidemic of child trafficking and abduction that's going on? I know you were mentioning to me in a previous conversation that with the borders closed, especially child and person abduction is going up in the United States. So maybe you can just explain to somebody the overwhelming epidemic of the human trafficking that we've got going on, and kind of like what it's related to and how we can be more aware because we are at a heightened situation right now.
yeah. First of all, it's going on around you. I don't care where you're at. Uh, it's happening. Uh, I'll see when we see reports on social media and such. One of the most aggravating comments that I will see is usual suspects when a clergyman is found guilty of this, when an educator, which is we see a lot of that, seeing more and more of that, but don't make the mistake of thinking there's a usual suspect when it comes to this, because it crosses every demographic that there is. I've listened to phone calls from uh, people being concerned about a predator from all walks of life. Uh, I mean, just all walks. There's not one particular profile that fits this. You know, I heard Tim Tebow mention recently that the most common is the biological father. You know, in the home. I've never heard that before. Uh, One of the other, family or it's familial. Of course, you hear that a lot. Not, I believe that. I mean, we're almost at 50% of these things starting on, within the family unit, caretakers, or whatever, but some family type connection. Abductions are starting to increase, which Tina, Boz's wife, had mentioned that when they put some information out, it's gold, it's solid, and so I would attribute that to the open borders, the millions and millions that came across here unchecked, especially child predators. Uh, we are we are fighting a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise, the largest in the world that's ever been, and that kind of money can makes a lot of decisions, makes a lot of heads turn the other way. We're seeing uh, sentences that are just not near enough punishment for these predators, and it's got a lot to do with money and corrupt justices and corruption, across the board, and people who are being paid off. The online epidemic is crazy. I mean, Roblox probably being one of the worst at the moment. I think 70 million subscribers on there. I watched a video of a hacker that uh, put himself on there as a 6-year-old boy. I think it was a 6-year-old boy, and in 6 seconds of being logged on to Roblox and identifying adult male, uh, asked the 6-year-old boy who he thinks he's talking to if he likes to get freaky. Uh, in 6 seconds, that happened, and then they just kept coming. Um, so the dangers there, it doesn't matter if they're boys or girls, is is major.
Can
And
parents do anything to set up safety concerns on roadblocks, or is that just stay off roadblocks? Is there specific, should we just keep our children off this stuff?
the experts that I listen to uh, are saying stay off of it. Yeah, they say, and one goes as far, you're a fool if you allow your child to use Roblox. No matter what.
Okay.
Or it's that bad. And I don't think they don't say that lightly. I mean, these are, if you want to if you want to get a good look at something like Roblox, go to YouTube and pull up the ethical hacker. Ethical hacker. That's what it's called. And this guy's amazing at the work that he does. And so he's in there. In fact, he received, there was a 16-year-old boy that had been, someone attempted to groom him several times. So he got sick of this. So he started drawing these groomers in and then posting them up and outing them. Roblox ends up sending him a cease and desist demand letter to stop doing that. They did the same thing to the ethical hacker. Uh, yeah, and when I mean, just legal type, threats. He talks about all of that. So, uh, you're facing in a criminal enterprise that has a lot of influence, and it takes it takes well, we can say it takes a lot to fight them and all of that, but it really doesn't. Uh, when you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise and uh, an organization that's boots on the ground doing the work, yeah, they need money to run operations and all of that. Yeah, it takes it can easily take 100,000 plus a year, no problem. To if you're going to do effective work out there, that's how serious it is. It's not going to just go away. It continues to increase. There was an abduction in Western North Carolina a few years back, and I remember the lady saying who had gotten caught trying to snatch a infant child uh, from a carriage that she was going to receive. I think it's $20,000 or $25,000 cash for that child, and so that's an easy, quick $25,000 for somebody that knows what they're doing. And it still happens. We still have, I think it's approximately 430 something thousand missing children right now. We have no idea where they are. No idea. I think there were 80 something thousand on a child sexual abuse material online, 80, somewhere around 85,000 or something like that, that are online where you can see faces, everything, and some, and nobody knows who they are.
I mean, that
Nobody.
adds up to more people than we lost in World War II,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
this is like a few years ago, I started talking to people about this. I had lived in Russia during the fall of communism and saw what was happening to the girls, and actually had a close friend I grew up with being trafficked to high levels of the Arab community. And so I became aware of this. But up here in Redding, I live in Northern California. Redding is like a window to California. We're the fifth largest economy in the world, and outside China, the largest destination for trafficked children. So I live in what basically is a port city. And we have the only time you ever hear about our area on the news is when someone's been kidnapped or a child has been abducted. But what we also have here is a lot of government funded rehabilitation centers, child traffic, all these different things where our county makes a lot of money from having all these facilities. And about 10 years ago, it's really hot here in the summer. I would take my trailer down by the river and I met another family. And the woman started telling me about how her daughter was put into a home for 2 years up here because she had been trafficked. And the mother was fined, and the daughter had to go to a home, and this was in the San Diego area, which is another port city. And literally, she was being tried in front of the judge who was abusing her. And during the breaks, they were taking her back and abusing her during her court trial with the judge and the prosecuting attorney. So this is deeply embedded. And one of the concerns I have is people turning to the regular police departments, and not, of course, my father was a sheriff. I'm not accusing everybody who's in it, but there is an element of
Right.
law enforcement that's involved. So, can you kind of give parameters if anybody who is concerned? Because calling your direct police department could put you in danger. So, is that a realistic threat, or is this just a one-off experience I had?
Well, yeah, it can be very realistic. And to me, when you're talking about trafficking, depending on at what level, area that you're in, that this is going on, um, if it involves cartel, mainstream gangs, yeah, they don't play. I mean, it's a very serious call to make. If you are afraid to call police, then I mean, the calls that I have gotten has been exactly that. I don't want the police involved, or somebody has gone to the police and they didn't get any help. Um,
Well, the
and
police don't do rape kits. When you get raped, they won't
exactly,
process your rape kit. If you go vote in California, you can donate an extra dollar if you want to promote rape kits. So let me
yeah,
see, we can give out billions to people that aren't from the country, but when women get raped, because that would start proving that
that,
serious people in our communities are raping women and getting away, and sure, and boys and men too. It's not just, it
yeah,
is predominantly girls and women, but
yeah,
there's a whole
yeah,
section of this that isn't that. So it becomes very concerning because you need to protect yourself first because you have to be able to protect yourself to help others. So, um,
yeah.
okay. So, all right. How you were talking a little bit about how we can be more proactive and understand what's going around us and create an own personal protection plan, especially with all of the abductions rising right now. How can we be more aware of the situations we put ourselves in and what to do if we find out we are in a dangerous situation?
Yeah. Um, so just going back real quick to if you don't want to if you don't want to contact police, you can contact uh, anti-trafficking organizations. A lot of them have their own hotlines, tip lines, or whatever. And so the calls that I've gotten, I've done the due diligence. I collect the information, I'll do the due diligence on it, and then of course with guidance and mentorship and coaching through uh, Craig, Boz, Tina, and people involved in that network as well to get feedback and advice on how to go to the next step. And so there are great law enforcement officers out there that do care and that will jump in and they'll get in the fight with you, and do it. And so that's the other uh, important element of developing your network is having trusted law enforcement partnerships and relationships because they are out there. And so then I can make the call on, or we can make the call on, okay, now it's time to inform law enforcement, to get them in on this. We have legitimate evidence here to move forward with. And so uh, those cases have always worked out well, and we've been able to. Nobody that's ever called me that I've talked to has ever had to talk to police, and we were able to get the victim into a survivorship path of life. Are the traffickers still out there doing what they're doing? Yeah, they are, um, as far as I know. And but that survivor has a changed world now. Some of them go back. Uh, I think it's an estimate about 80% of them will still return to their trafficker twice uh, before finally, getting out. And that's just how much control and dependence that trafficker has created, for them, that they have to have them to survive. And that's what they believe, or their lives are going to be real miserable, and their families, are going to be as well. And everybody they know, if they don't abide by what they tell them to do, 100%, of the time. So, yeah, but being proactive, first of all, learn as much as you can about this criminal enterprise, because nobody's exempt from it really. And it's there are some studies there that show that a good pimp that knows what he's doing. This is 4 beautiful women that he makes thousands and thousands every week. On average, is bankrolling $1 million a year, $1 to $2 million a year, tax free money. Those girls see none of that. Now they'll take care of them and make sure that they are taken care of. They'll make sure that their addiction is also taken care of, as well. So that's kind of what you're we are up against, and like I say, that kind of money does a lot of evil things, turns a lot of heads the other way, and we have to stop unseeing it. And I say that at times, stop unseeing it as an individual, corporately, whatever, but learn as much about it, as you can, because you're as much of a target as anybody else. Are there more that are more vulnerable than others? Yeah, these are kids from broken homes, things that aren't well, kids that are showing just signs of rebellion, loneliness, whatever. Yeah, learn who the vulnerable communities are, because you can learn to recognize that, and you may be one that makes a call that stops it at some point too. But for yourself, you got to start uh, for yourself at first. And uh, situational awareness is huge. And I have these two little things right here in front of me. What else? This right here and these right here earbuds. I see uh, people walking all the time facing this, earbuds in. Number one, you're not paying attention to your surroundings any at all. You're right here, you're locked in. I could be on you in less than 5 seconds and have you moved out of the way off of a walking path where nobody sees you or may never see you again. I mean, it can happen, that quick. Uh, let's say you're not looking at this, but you've got your earbuds in. Well, you can't hear anybody coming up behind you at all, or anybody moving in your surroundings. If, let's say, you're just walking or either leaving the shopping center to your car, parking lot. Very easy target, earbuds and this phone. Uh, and I look at these scenarios sometimes, going, what would it take to just make that person disappear in about 5 seconds right now? Nobody else is paying attention, and it would be easy a lot of times. And I was sitting in a parking lot taking a break one day, and I hear a loud, loud scream across the road. The mall was across the road, and that scream didn't sound normal. Now, I hadn't been back from that training very long. This was the weird kind of stuff that would happen. So it's like God just started putting this stuff in my lap, and I thought, oh, that's just somebody having just screaming like crazy. But so I decided to pull over there, and sure enough, a teenage girl was being dragged by her hair and forced into a vehicle. Uh, Now there were, I think, at least 4 people standing around watching this happen that did nothing. Nobody had a phone out calling 911 for what reason, I don't know. Uh, so uh, he just gets in a car when I was trying to position my vehicle, and I was going to try to stop it. But he was able to hop back in his and take off. And I followed him. I got police on the phone, and I followed them. Of course, they were telling me to back off. I told them that's not going to happen until I see one of you right on them. And so I chased this guy through parking lots and everything. You know, and he had a small child in a car seat too, in the back seat of that vehicle. And I just stayed with him and kept chasing him. And of course, police are telling me to back off, and I'm telling them that's not going to happen. And so they did end up surrounding this guy and the kids. I did back off after that, but sort of, and just to watch a little bit to see what was going to happen. So there was a lot of activity going on, and I just went ahead and got out of there because really I just want to stay under the radar. I don't want my name mentioned in anything either that happened as long as he was caught, you know. But know what you're going to do if you're in a situation like this because people freeze and people freak out. And I'm assuming that's what happened. It was two couples, boyfriend and girlfriend, you know. And I thought, boy, I bet they feel real safe around him now. They wouldn't even try to stop or call 911. My first thought was, man, what kind of man are you? You know, and that's what surprised me a lot too. I did call the police station a couple of weeks after that to see if they could tell me anything that might have happened from that, and they wouldn't share any information with me, which was fine. But I know he was caught. We stopped something, surely, hopefully. Um, so not just for yourself, but how am I going to react if I see something like this? Because if you'll study the signs and everything long enough and enough, you're gonna recognize this. You're gonna see it because that's how. My gosh, in less than a minute, another child is being trafficked. You know, in this world, so you're gonna recognize that for yourself. I mean, these walking alone, if you're doing walks, taking the same pattern all the time, those are big mistakes. Really, if you are going to be out there, first of all, once again, keep those earbuds out of play. You know, on that phone, unless you're going to have to set to 911 just in case. You know, hit 911 and put it on speaker if you want. I carry a little taser that costs about $20 on Amazon. It will lay a very good sized man down for enough time for you to get away and get on the phone, you know, and make that call. If you can carry, you have a Second Amendment right to carry and protect yourself. I strongly advise, especially women, to do that. Go get some courses and learn how to handle your weapon safety courses, shooting, how to handle that, self-defense courses, so that you can help take care of yourself or somebody else. That reason that you carry, it may not be your life that you protect and save. Maybe it's somebody else's. So there's a number of reasons why it's important, you know, to do that. Predictable routes. People like to run and walk the same routes all the time. Don't do that because predators, listen, they're good. They're predators. They're good at what they do. They're the best. Cartels, mainstream gangs, they are the best at what they do. It's not a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise because they don't know what they are doing. And they're very tech savvy. They're smart, unassuming. They don't all look alike. You know, they don't all have, you know, tattoos from the eyebrows down. You know, some do, but not all do. Um, you know, something I found interesting too: clothing or jewelry with maybe a name on it or something like that on the back. Somebody can call your name and you turn around or something like that. So it can be easy uh, little things, and all this is learned from predators and information that they give out. Your name is, you know, Prather is on the back. back of my jersey, "Hey, Prather, I'm going to turn around, see who it was." You never know. Men and women too. It's not just females. That if there's a demand out there, there there's a provider that's gonna make sure that can happen, no matter how sick it is. And I mean, I'm talking down to infants, toddlers. Read a report yesterday. A lady busted uh, toddlers, young children. I'm talking below the age of 5, also mixed in with animals. Um, uh, and child sexual abuse, satanic ritual abuse. That we're finding out more and more about that now. And that was just this week. That's how sick, and dark it gets. Um,
Can you let us know? We're kind of getting wrapped up to our hour after that, people, as I want to have you back because I know you're starting a new job, but maybe by the end of the next month, we can talk about your new organization and what you're doing over there. Is there any way people can get a hold of you or give some suggestion about how to reach out to your organization?
yeah, right now, because we're still setting up our email. Um, but for right now, you can use my name, Bryan, Bryan, Prather, Prather, the digit one, Bryan Prather one at gmail.com. You can email me there.
Okay.
At Press No More is the name of our organization, and I'll be based out of Metro Atlanta. Um, so kind of in the belly of the beast there when it comes to trafficking. But of course, we can operate. No matter where you're fighting it from, you're fighting it everywhere. So um,
Well, then we call it trafficking because it's the new politically correct term, but it's called modern day slavery. So
that's what it is.
if you're a person who is concerned about people's individual rights and are talking about slavery today and you are upset about what happened 2 years ago, this should be a topic you take up because modern day slavery exists and it's not just one group of
Yeah,
people. It's men and women of every race and background from all over the world. And as a person who lives in the United States, we are the largest destination outside of the communist country of China for trafficked individuals.
yeah. We sure are. I mean, out of that 152 billion estimate, it's probably a lot more than that. Uh, United States represents a third of that. Uh, we are the largest purchasers, even and the largest producers, even of child porn, for instance, and purchasers for that, and that continues. So yeah, very very disturbing.
Okay. Well, Brian, it's been really enlightening to have you here with us. And I want to remind people that they can join us every week on the awakeandbold.org website. We're going to be having a YouTube channel and a Rumble channel, and we're going to be on X this month. So look forward to our updates. And you can also go to the awakenbold.org website if you want to print off different information so you can become active in your local community. We're going to have more things coming up like after school programs for children, especially for those that are at youth risk. So thank you for listening and for caring about the future generation's safety and mental health. And as Brian says, remember, awareness saves lives. This is Simone and Brian signing off for today. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you. We done?